Hey Taurus. Never mind the weird gases escaping my body. It's that time again. It's time for your mid-month. This time we're going to be covering September and October of 2020. ASMR. Crystal scrying. And gate crashing. I actually, I did decide to refilm this because earlier I was right in the middle of your crystal scrying forecast, and the maintenance gentleman was using the leaf blower outside, so I had to stop and wait for him to be done. Hopefully we won't have any more interruptions like that. That was the loudest thing. I think you probably hear a lot of planes overhead and motorcycles out on Sepulveda. This month I'm using this rose quartz. It's been very interesting so far. I thought if I used rose quartz that maybe I would get love readings, but actually what ended up happening is that I've been really tapping into people's emotional states, so that's been very exciting. Uranus is retrograde right now, and that is going to be your month of September. And then Mars is in retrograde in Aries, which is your neighboring sign. And let's see if I can find out. Well, I guess Pluto is retrograde too. I'd forgotten about that. Pluto being retrograde too for a lot of the month in Capricorn. And Uranus is going to be in your sign. Let's see. Looks like maybe even through the end of the year. What do we have here? Yeah, Uranus is still in Taurus. Oh, I left my phone outside. And Chiron's in retrograde too for part of the year. Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus. Yeah. It looks like into the new year, Uranus is going to be in your sign. And then, of course, the moon is in Taurus the first week of September. September 6th through the 8th. So that's right before the Mars retrograde. And Uranus is a planet. I've been talking a lot in the readings this month about the age of Aquarius. And I think the boomers had a very naive perspective on what the age of Aquarius was going to mean. They were like, oh, surely this will be ushering in an era of peace and love. But actually, it's much more complex than that, because the world was not structured for peace and love. Things are coming up to the surface right now that it's good that they're coming up to the surface. A lot of social justice issues that need to be dealt with, that, you know, have been able to be swept under the rug up until this point. But now everybody's got access to information all day long, every day. And I even watched this video that was about conservative media, and the watch numbers on conservative media is outstripping the mainstream news outlets, or mainstream like CBS, ABC. I did watch one video from this guy who's a conservative pundit on YouTube, and I'd never even heard of the guy before, and I mean, he's getting millions and millions of views. People are just really responding to that message right now, which is unfortunate. But it's very much part of this energy and Uranus being retrograde in your sign. So, because Uranus is actually tied to Aquarius, 11th house energy, right? And Taurus, on the other hand, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, Taurus governs the second house, which is the house of possessions. All of these people are responding to this because there's a perceived threat to what they own. Dramatic pause, let it sink in, go ahead, be mad about it if you want to. I don't really care, because they're coming from a place of ignorance. And hopefully a lot of people will figure that out and realize that the people who are keeping them from having the things that they feel like they deserve are, you know, the same people that they're supporting and claiming to be on the side of. So, anyway, I really don't care for politics, but I did want to point out some of the symptoms of that energy so that you can recognize them in your own life when they crop up. Because I think you, Taurus, are going to be much better acclimated to this. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising, much better acclimated to this. Especially Taurus rising, where Uranus is going to be in your first house. And it's going to be retrograde there, and it's going to hang out there for quite a while. Let's get into the scrying. I'm not using a scrying oil this month. I'm using Mandrake Ointment. And I don't know if I'll be able to link this down in the description. I purchased it on eBay from a Spanish seller. And that was before I moved to California. Oh, and the main takeaway, because I really don't want to be political about it. the main takeaway is that we're all so separated now that even your local politicians, you don't know those people. You don't know any of these people. Just because you see them on TV, just because you hear their name in the press, just because you watch YouTube videos. You don't know those people. You shouldn't trust them. Myself included. Don't just blindly trust anyone who's talking to you through a screen. And that screen could be anything. I'm going to try to be as honest with you as I possibly can. Not everybody's going to do that. I genuinely care about all of you. And I hope that something about the message that I'm putting out there improves your lives. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but there's a really beautiful little corner here that's got some holographic shimmer. Let's see if I can get that to show up. I don't know if I'm going to. Oh, you can almost see it. It's like right here on this corner. It's really pretty. Yeah, oh, there we go. A little bit, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, what messages do I need to convey to Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of September and early October 2020? Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm a little gassy this evening. Try not to full of hot air. But you already knew that. I feel like you are going to have a tendency in this month and this time to be a little hard on yourself, unjustifiably. You're going to be not, it's not necessarily negative self-talk, okay? Because there's a difference between negative self-talk and being hard on yourself. It's going to be like in the heat of the occurrence. You're going to see the way that you should be moving, and you're going to see yourself like moving in the opposite direction, kind of, if that makes sense. But I don't want you to be mad at yourself about this, because you are working against a very strong planetary pull. Uranus is very far away, but I think there's the possibility that it's going to have, especially with the Mars retrograde that's about to occur in Aries, there's going to be a lot to reckon with and reconcile there. And especially, let's see, if they're well, no, Mars retrograde in Aries, it's going to be a really tight angle to Uranus in Taurus. So you're not going to be looking at like a really harsh square or anything like that, or an opposition like it would be in Scorpio, I think, is your opposite sign. Yeah, because Taurus and Scorpio are both fixed energy, just like Leo and Aquarius. So all of those are squares. Just don't be too hard on yourself about these things that you see going a certain way. Give yourself lots of time to get whatever you need to do done. Don't wait until the last minute to finalize things. Make sure that on your end, you give yourself plenty of time. You plan things out so that you are able to complete different steps with plenty of time in between, if that makes sense. So that when you get closer to the end, a lot of stuff has already been set up and you don't have to rush to get it done. Because that's when you're going to be really combating that energy. And you might find yourself running up against people who are getting in your way, whether they're doing it intentionally or not. That's another bit of Uranus energy. It's not out and out combativeness the way that a Mars energy is. Although you're also going to be possibly dealing with Mars and Aries energy. The Uranus energy is more like too many cooks in the kitchen. And you're all kind of standing around and somebody tastes the broth and they're like, well, this needs more salt. And this other person's like, well, now it's too salty. Now I have to put potatoes in it. And this other person's like, well, I didn't want to make soup. I wanted to make curry. So I'm going to dump a bunch of cayenne pepper in here. You know, so it's going to be, if you're coming up against opposition, that's the kind of opposition that you're going to be dealing with. But it could also open up new ideas that you might not have considered. So there's that too. So make sure that you're also open to altering this plan slightly. See, that's the thing. If you plan it out in these little increments, in little chunks, then you don't have to scrap the whole thing and start over. You can approach somebody and say, this is the amount that I've already gotten done up until this point, and here's what I did. And we can either build on that, or if you think it's worth it, to totally scrap it. If you really feel like there's a much better way to do this, I am open to hearing it. But here's everything that I've already set up. And it might be easier if we find a way to incorporate these things. Because Uranus is like that big cosmic idea energy. It's not even quite like, it's like a Mercury retrograde on steroids, kind of. Like, Mercury is like the microcosm of ideas, and then Uranus is like the macrocosm of ideas. What else do I need to tell Taurus? Sun, moon, and rising. here's somebody calling you kid. Like an old school gumshoe in like a 40s, a hard-boiled film noir gumshoe, being like, you got it, kid. You know, like Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca kind of energy toward you. And that could be, you don't have to be a woman to be subjected to that energy. It could be treating you like the Jimmy from Spider-Man. I'm not really big on comic books, and honestly, Spider-Man's not one of my favorites. But I think there's also like a newsboy who takes pictures that Clark Kent works with. It's that kind of energy of like, hey, you're kind of a sidekick, but not really, because you don't have superpowers. That is being kind of expressed towards you. That's not really valid, because you do have superpowers, I think, a lot of you. And this person not being able to recognize that is a failing on their part. But again, it's going back to some of these occluded and complex energies that you're going to be dealing with until 2021. 2021. 2021. 2020, 2021. But that doesn't mean that you can't assert yourself in certain ways, you know? And in this person's case, it might be convenient for you to play dumb. Yeah, this guy is kind of like, he's gonna be all Don Quixote, you know, tilting at windmills and acting like it's, you know, I'm defending chivalry or whatever. And it doesn't have to be, like, I'm getting that it's a masculine energy, but it doesn't have to be a man, and it doesn't have to be about chivalry. It can also be a very career-minded person in general, woman or non-binary, who is kind of like putting out this energy of like, I'm this super person and I can balance time with my family and time at work and everything. And everything I do is perfect. And it's not like, they're not the kind of person who then pins their failings on you necessarily. But they also kind of don't give you credit where credit's due. But that's not to say that your efforts won't be rewarded. I think that it's just that during this time, because of how everything is, and now I'm pretty glad that I redid the Taurus reading, because I think a lot more came out about the Uranus retrograde, which, it being in your sign, I think it was good that I took a step back and did the other readings and then came back to this. I feel a lot more put together about it. I'm also considering doing like weekly, and then the week that I do the monthly tarot readings, not do a weekly crystal scrying. So if you have thoughts about that, let me know down in the comments if that's something you'd like to see me do more often throughout the month. And honestly, Taurus, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. I really appreciate you joining me today for your monthly mid-month September, October 2020 crystal scrying forecast. 3 of Cups, 7 of Wands, the Lover's card, Aquarius. Okay, now it's a tarot forecast. I love you guys, I really do. Please do like, share, subscribe. If you have friends that you think would be interested in this, please tell them. And if you have something nice to say, I'd love to hear it. Talk to me down below. And I hope that you have a great month. I'll see you again very, very